This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, May the 19th, is an icon who just got into the Basketball Hall of Fame just a little bit while ago. He is Kevin Garnett. Now I know why do I have him in a Boston uniform and not a Minnesota outfit? Well, I should have done Minnesota justice. But basically, I figured that this was a better picture. So anyway, Kevin Garnett played 21 years in the NBA. And no, not with just one franchise. One of the best power forwards of all time. He's only one of 5 NBA players to win the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year awards. In high school, he was a McDonald's All-American and actually entered the 95 NBA draft despite the fact that he didn't play in college. So basically, the 95 NBA draft was huge for many reasons. So anyway, he was the first NBA player drafted directly to high school in 20 years. He would be one of the biggest impact players who never played a year in college. Moses Malone never did. No, wait, Moses Malone I thought did. Sorry. No, he didn't. Kobe Bryant, among others. And of course you had your blunders like Kwame Brown. By 2006, the NBA said that you had to have been in college for 1 year before you can join the NBA draft, unless you're international. So anyway, Garnett made an impact with the Minnesota Timberwolves, leading them to playoffs almost every year, got them to the Western Finals in 2004, and was named NBA MVP. Well, Minnesota's not really a good team anyway. Anyway, Garnett's been named to 15 All-Star games, winning the All-Star MVP in 2003. Defensive Player of the Year in 2008, the same year as he won his title with the Boston Celtics. There was a big trade, and then he helped them win the NBA title. And then he was sent to Brooklyn by the Celtics in 2013 alongside Paul Pierce, and then traded back to Minnesota where he would retire. Kevin Garnett came from South Carolina and all that. Garnett actually wanted to go to college for University of Maryland, but he said that he didn't score well on the SATs and ACTs to get in because you have to have a minimum score to get in for NCAA requirements for freshman eligibility. So he said he would go to Maryland. I put him in South Carolina. So yeah, so he was basically there. Toronto hosted the 95 NBA draft, which was amazing and all that. And of course, Toronto and Vancouver got to draft and all that. To draft. Kevin Garnett basically doing his job. So anyway, the first pick went to Golden State, and they picked Joe Smith, the power forward from Maryland. Ironically, the school that Kevin Garnett said he was going to go to if he had passed his testing to NCAA eligibility. I think he kind of knew that Joe Smith was going to move on to the NBA, so he basically wanted to take over Joe Smith's position as power forward. Antonio McDyess went second. The Clippers picked him, but then they traded him to Denver. I don't know what the deal was for. But anyway, Alabama. Not really much of a basketball school, if you ask me. More of a football school. Yeah, so the Clippers traded McDyess's draft rights to Denver for the draft rights to Brent Barry. I think that was a good move. Philly picked third and didn't take a power forward. They took Jerry Stackhouse from North Carolina. Then Washington picked a power forward, Rasheed Wallace from North Carolina. She would be much better off in Portland and Detroit. And then Minnesota took Kevin Garnett, who came from high school, which was amazing. 4 power forwards in 5 picks. Vancouver would take Bryant Reeves with their first ever draft pick. It worked out in a sense. He was a star. He was good in the 95 NCAA tournament. And then Toronto was up, and everyone wanted Ed O'Bannon because, he was the star of the 95 UCLA team that won the national championship. But they shocked the fans by taking Damon Stoudemire, point guard from Arizona. The fans let Isaiah Thomas, who was actually one of the heads of the Raptors at that time, have it. O'Bannon would fall to ninth. He wasn't drafted after Damon Stoudemire. That was Sean Respert, who was actually drafted by Portland and traded to Milwaukee. Ed O'Bannon would fall to the New Jersey Nets, ninth overall. Ed O'Bannon, it actually worked out the best for the Raptors because Ed O'Bannon was just a massive flop. So the Raptors did that. And Isaiah Thomas would have the last laugh as Stoudemire was named Rookie of the Year. Perfect. So anyway, Garnett was picked to make the Timberwolves look good. They were an expansion team from 1989, and they hadn't won 30 games in a season, and there's an 82-game season. Oh, that. So once Minnesota went with Flip Saunders as head coach. I think he's dead. I think he died a couple years ago. I don't remember. Yeah, he died in 2015. Oh, so young. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, the Timberwolves failed to make the playoffs, but he still did okay. Prep the Pro. Yeah, I forgot. LeBron James and Dwight Howard went Prep the Pro that they've got from no. They didn't play college either. Anyway, Timberwolves made a track day trade for Stephen Marbury of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, and it worked. I believe that's right. Minnesota drafted Ray Allen and then traded Milwaukee for Marbury. And it worked out. The Timberwolves won 40 games. The first time they won more than 30 in a year. They were swept in the first round, but who cared? But anyway, Garnett was basically the franchise player for the Minnesota Timberwolves and all that. But, yeah, that was not good. But KG basically brought Minnesota on his back. But unfortunately, it would be frustration because Minnesota just fell off the map. Kevin Garnett was then traded to Boston in exchange for Al Jefferson, Ryan Gomes, Sebastian Telfair, Gerald Green, Theo Ratliff, cash, Boston's 2009 first-round draft pick, and the 2009 first-round pick that Minnesota actually traded to Boston the year before, sending Rick in the Ricky Davis-Wally Zerbiak trade. So basically, we got a couple of draft picks. The 7-for-1 deal constitutes the largest number of players traded for a single player in league history. And Garnett said he wouldn't let the Celtics down. Oh, that. Well, Garnett had a resurgence. Third in MVP voting, helping Boston out with their power of three, their new power of three. Because Boston used to have the big three with Bird, McHale, and Parrish. Now, Boston had Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett. Paul Pierce was a Boston mainstay. Ray Allen was around for other teams. All that. Garnett had to wear number 5 because his 21 was retired thanks to Bill Sharman. So, yeah. So, Garnett did fantastic and all that. Garnett was Defensive Player of the Year. That was actually the only trophy Boston had been missing. They had Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, MVP, and all that. A lot of those trophies, but they never had a Defensive Player of the Year. And Garnett did it for them. Basically, Garnett did the job, winning Game 6 at home against the Lakers. And then the famous post-game interview, he said, anything's possible. Anything is possible! Oh my God. So yeah, so Kevin Garnett was an icon for the Celtics and all that. Then on the day of the NBA draft, the Celtics decided to trade Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry for first-round pick. to the Brooklyn Nets for first round picks in 2014, 2016, and 2018, as well as Chris Humphries. Really? Gerald Wallace, Chris Joseph, Marshawn Brooks, and Keith Bogans. That wasn't a bad deal. Gerald Wallace was decent for Boston, but Chris Humphries, he was still around? However, the Celtics came out on top, kind of, because one of them was future All-Star Jaylen Brown. Garnett decided to wear number 2 for the Nets. He could have worn 21 for the Nets, but he did it to honor his former Minnesota teammate who died in an auto accident, Malik Sealy. Kevin Garnett became the 10th player in NBA history to hit 14,000 rebounds with the Nets and all that. And Kevin Garnett basically had a fantastic career and all that. Fantastic 2014 postseason. At the expense of my Raptors, of course. But Garnett decided that he didn't feel like playing for Brooklyn, weirdly enough. So in February 2015, he decided to waive his no-trade clause to be traded back to Minnesota for Thaddeus Young. It was amazing. He went back to Minnesota. Unfortunately, knee injuries would ruin his comeback with the Timberwolves and all that. Garnett actually, in his final year, did become the 5th NBA player to hit 50,000 minutes on the court, joining Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Jason Kidd, and Alvin Hayes. Alvin Hayes, really? Anyway, yeah, injuries were just hurt him, and he decided to retire. But his knees couldn't hold up. Garnett would join TNT's basketball coverage and all that, and was actually in Uncut Gems, which was amazing. So yeah, he was the star in Uncut Gems and all that. Garnett would marry his longtime girlfriend. And because of that, he couldn't take part in the Athens Olympic Games, which was a disaster for the United States and all that. They have 2 daughters. He has 2 daughters. So yeah. He's done pretty well for himself. 1,462 games in the big league, 17.8 points a game, 10 rebounds a game. That's Kevin Garnett in a team, being a good power forward and all that. In the playoffs, he had a few long stints with Boston, like in the playoffs, getting to a few finals and all that. But yeah, 18.2 a game, 10.7 rebounds. So he has a lot of achievements. He's the only NBA player to get 25,000 rebounds, 10,000 rebounds, 25,000 points, I meant. 10,000 rebounds, 5,000 assists, 1,500 steals, and 1,500 blocks. Nice. He actually had the record for leading the league in defensive rebounds, 5 consecutive seasons. But Dwight Howard broke that record for consecutive seasons. And he actually has the second most seasons played in the NBA, 21 behind Parrish and Kevin Willis. Yeah, so fantastic job by him. 9-time All-NBA selection, 4-time first team, and 12-time All-Defensive. He was the second-team All-Rookie guy in 96. It's funny how Damon Stoudemire beat him for the list. Ha! So yeah, Kevin Garnett is the big ticket, and he's just got into the Hall of Fame this past weekend, so can't hate on him, I guess. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond, I do.